All righty, and welcome everybody. So glad to be here with those of you that are here in real time, here live. If you are catching this by recording, welcome to you as well. And very grateful. Today is June 24th, 2023. Keep feeling like I need to mark and take note of the time and the date as we go into these classes, because they've been, this has been a whole new process. It still feels new, even though we are in our 4th year of doing these classes online together, which kind of blows my mind still to this day. But we have been gathering online as a community for the practice of yoga and a therapeutic journey of yoga, polyvagal informed or vagus nerve informed yoga practice. And it's just really become an international community. So I'm speaking for just a moment to those of you catching this by recording. If you ever do want to attend live and have not yet, I'll put that into the information below the video. So if you want to join us. And for all of you that are here and in any form, I want to speak a bit to our theme today, and then we're going to dive right into our movement. So the theme today is what I'm going to refer to as embodied spirituality. And this is, in a larger sense, what I'm, kind of been gathering together is the way that we bring Soma, body, and soul together. And with the polyvagal informed work, there's a quality also of a little bit of science in the mix, which I get kind of geeky about. But to me, it's that sweet juncture of kind of knowing the how and the why the practices work, and then to let go of the how and the why and to experience it and to be nourished by your breath, your movement, your awareness, and that sweet magic that occurs when we drop in and we start to make connections and we start to feel, and then something new emerges. And that's what we'll call the soul aspect of this. So the focus of this practice on a kind of intentional level is about aligning yourself with the divine. We're going to play a whole lot with spinal movement today, and we'll do a whole lot of cross-lateral, so some good brain integration inside of the physical practice. And I really want to invite you to know that all of you is welcome here, right? The expansive and the that which we might fall towards easily or turn towards easily, but also to know that you can turn towards the places that feel disconnected, tense, uncomfortable, contracted, with the recognition that these places in us that hold the contraction, when they are held wisely, when we can turn towards them mindfully, compassionately, they become the source of our deepest healing, growth, and wisdom. So we welcome all of you. I welcome all of you to the mat. And the key is having enough support so that when we turn towards those places of difficulty or those places of contraction, that we can attend to the pain without feeling like that pain is going to define you or define your future. So with that, let us dive into the journey of embodied spirituality. I'm going to begin with a poem. This poem is by Lynn Ungar, and it is called A Letter in Return. And I've posted a portion of this poem in some of my posts on Facebook, and I decided I'd like to read the entire poem to you today. And it's a little bit longer, but I think it's worthy. It's worthy in the context of our world, which has been and continues to be unpredictable in a lot of ways and scary in a lot of ways. And what can happen in those moments in the middle of the night that somehow seems to be the universal time that we wake up worrying and ruminating about the future. So this is a poem about that. And how do you live, and what are your fears during this crisis? What questions come to the surface after midnight from across the world? In your country, is it the time of day to wrestle all the existential and daily dreads until, like Jacob and the vicious angel, they conceded to bless us? I'm afraid that the people I love will die. I am afraid that that my child is inheriting a world so much harsher than what she deserves. I'm afraid that desperate times call for desperate measures, and I am not quite desperate enough. Should I go on? I am afraid that people have wandered away from the very idea of truth. I'm afraid we have unlearned how to speak and how to listen. I am afraid the fabric that holds us together is woven more loosely than I thought, and people keep slipping through. And how do you live? And how do you live with grief, with fear, with laughter, with boredom, with glee, with contentment, with fury, with hope, with the firm conviction that no thing cancels any other thing out? Death does not cancel life. Grief does not cancel joy. Fear does not cancel conviction, nor any of those statements in reverse. Make your heart a bowl that is large enough to hold it all. Make your heart a bowl that is large enough to hold it all. Imagine that you are the potter. Stretch the clay. Cherish the turning wheel. Accept that the bowl is never going to be done. For me, the reason that we practice in community is that we need each other to stretch the clay. We cannot do this alone. I need you. We need each other to stretch. And we're going to stretch that heart bowl together, and we're going to move on the mat. So thank you. Obviously, this one brought me to tears as well, and I see many of you very touched right now. So gratitude for that moment, for this moment. And I'm going to shift over onto my mat, and we'll do some stretching together, shall we? So let us begin. Let us begin with some breath. And we're going to start with the ha-kara breath, or the ha breath. And it's the precursor for the ujjayi. And if you want to go directly into ujjayi, you are welcome to. In this breath practice, we begin with the warmth and the the sound of the breath, as if you're fogging up a mirror. So you can waking up the whisper muscles of your throat. And we'll find that together. Inhale. And inhale. And again. And then we'll find the same quality of the breath, the same feeling in the throat, the sound in the ears, inhaling and exhaling out of your nose. Waking up and generating a little bit of warmth in the throat. And intentionality to this practice. Once again, I'll name my own intention of uniting Soma and soul, of stretching the bowl. Perhaps you have your very own intention, your why for today. Staying with that breath, just a few more cycles, really lengthening, stretching your breath. And then we will become the potter's wheel. And I invite you to find some rotations of your upper body around your legs and staying with that Ujjayi pranayama so long as it feels comfortable for you. We'll call this revolving Ujjayi. Inhaling forward. Exhale back. Feeling the three-dimensionality of your body, the bowl of your pelvis. And then we'll go in the opposite direction. With all of these rather simple movements, you get to follow and find your own rhythm of your breath, your pace of the movement. And when you feel even, coming to center, and we'll find some flexion and extension of your spine, starting with hands at shins or ankles, and using your hands to draw your heart forward, and then to release your spine back. So from the side here. And if it feels comfortable, and if you've lost the Ujjayi pranayama, coming back. Feeling the quality of allowing the bowl to fill with the breath and to find emptiness. You can even embrace the pause at either end of the breath, embracing that fullness, and then letting yourself experience the emptiness. 2 more like that. And same movement in the spine, but hands to shoulders, opening your elbows. Exhale, drawing your elbows to touch in front of your heart. Maybe lifting your chin this time. And exhale, contract inward. Good. And then opening your arms if you'd like the wings of a bird. And exhale, press, contract. Again, open, expand. And drawing it in. Embracing the full range. Here we are just past the summer solstice, at least in our northern hemisphere. Perhaps some of you just at the winter solstice mark. And we feel the extremes in either case. Releasing your hands, lengthening your spine, pausing for just a moment. Speaking of light, I'm going to turn on one more light here. A little brighter in the space. Okay, so we'll go into that expansion contraction again, this time with side bodies, leaning to one side, giving yourself that contraction in one side as you open and lengthen through the other. And then maybe taking this to the other side. Again, your pace, your rhythm. One more each side. And through center, this time, just right ear towards right shoulder. And you can use your right fingertips for support, and you might reach your left arm, left fingertips away, and you can even lift and lower your arm or a slight turn of your chin, finding those maybe areas of tension or contraction in your neck and throat. Getting to know what these areas might hold for you. Honoring, you might even give a sound. If you'd like, you might explore stretching your eyes towards your right shoulder, right elbow. And then your eyes all the way to the left, as if looking towards the left corners of your sockets, maybe up towards the ceiling or the sky. And then head to center, gentle support there. You might even drop chin towards your chest and a little roll, half circle here. And drawing your head back up, left ear to left shoulder. You can use your fingertips for gentle support. Maybe you reach right arm down and away. And you can find a little bit of movement, lift and lower. You might even turn your chin a little bit up or down. Good. And then maybe you take your eyes towards the left shoulder, left elbow, a little stretch here. Sending your breath into any area of your neck that's calling for you. And then maybe you stretch your eyes up and to the right. And then eyes to center, head to center. This time, maybe a little roll of your shoulders. Good. And our next set of spinal movements here, drawing your arms up overhead, and we'll find some open twists side to side. So you can exhale, palms down, and then we're going to go right back to the inhale and exhale the other side. Again, following your pace and rhythm. And I'll just kind of name here that all of these initial stretches that we're exploring for spine, they can just as easily be done sitting in a chair, at the edge of your couch. So I encourage you to make all of this supportive for your body. The next time we come to the right, I will encourage a pause here, right fingertips behind. Left hand can hook onto your right knee, and maybe a pause here, taking your chin, your gaze all the way behind you. And then just your chin coming forward, your eyes coming forward. So shoulders, spine staying as they are. And I think of this as a little double helix here of the twist, twisting in two directions at once. Little meeting of your DNA, how about? And then if you'd like, you might lean towards the left. You can lift the right fingertips off the ground. You can hook left hand to right knee and really feel into the side body stretch. And then up and out through center and to side two. Giving yourself a chance to find the twist in its classic form, allowing yourself to follow the direction of your shoulders with your chin, with your eyes. A little reach and stretch here. Remember that you can back away from the edge of the stretch, really allowing this to be nourishing, enjoyable. And then just your chin, your head, your eyes turn, keeping your rest of your spine twisted in the opposite direction. And then maybe begin to lean to the right, hooking left knee with right hand. Maybe your left arm comes overhead. And find those sweet pockets of sensation in the back and your side body. And when you're ready, up and out. All right. One more here. This one, I'm going to invite you to bring your left leg, left knee kind of straight forward. Now you can come into a twist orientation for the legs in the sense that your right knee might be quite lifted, or you might toe heel your right foot further to the left and begin to stack right knee over left in what we call cow facing pose or Gomukhasana. And very much a hip centric shape, and you can find your way in. I encourage you to return to Ujjayi and really send the breath all the way down into the bowl of your pelvis. We're going to stretch the clay right there. Good. And then you might choose to add the arms, and we're going to add a simple form at first, which is right arm under left, coming into a loving self hug. And I love the kind of geometry of this shape, the stacking of the knees, the mirroring in the elbows, the holding of self. You might choose to find eagle arms, which means that we then cross one more time with forearms so that maybe fingers of the right hand come into the palm of the left hand. You can explore lifting your elbows a little bit here or drawing them downward. Continuing to send your breath into any pocket of sensation calling for you. And then we unwind the arms, leaning back. You can unwind the legs for a moment, sending them forward. And I'll encourage you to find some windshield wipers of your feet. Now you can take them American style, going in the same direction, European style, crossing to midline, and just releasing out through your hips. And we'll find that on side 2 this time. Right knee is going to be the bottom leg, and sending that right knee somewhat forward, walking the left leg on top, and it might be quite lifted, totally valid and welcome here. Or you might begin to walk that left foot further to the right, beginning to stack your knees and amplifying the sensation in your hips. So wherever you are with this, taking a few breaths, just greeting the sensations in your lower body, feeling that stretch, sending your breath in, knowing you can back out simply by lifting out of the legs. If you want to add the arms, drawing arms to the side, and this time it's left under right, and we start with the self-hug. That beautiful mirroring, crossing midline again and again in these shapes. I'm just noticing how we wake up in the mental awareness of the somatic experience. So maybe crossing the forearms here, coming into Garudasana or eagle arms. Coming back to breath. And unwind and lean back and legs forward this time. Feet can be kind of a little bit wider than hips, and then just allowing your knees to drop from side to side. And you can let your arms swing a little bit around with that side to side deer movement. All right. I'm going to turn so that I'm on my mat here and sticking for a little bit longer here with that side to side deer. And maybe you choose to take both hands off of the earth for this, and you do a little bit of the look, ma, no hands, and let your core support that movement from side to side. Let the stretch feel good. Notice how you can just let that rise up through your chest, your throat, your face. And when you feel even on both sides, next invitation is to roll down onto your back. And as you arrive on your back, you might even repeat just a few of those movements side to side here. If feet are hip or mat widths apart, you can let your knees fall one way and the other. You might even let the opposite shoulder lift, the arm lift up. And most importantly, let this feel nourishing, supportive, enjoyable, perhaps. Good. And then returning to center. Here at center, I'm going to talk you through this. I'm also going to stand and show you it in case it's hard to see what I'm doing as I'm laying down. But I'll invite you to send both legs long. And then we're going to find a supine tree. And some of you have done this with me before. You're kind of just allowing, in this case, I've brought my left knee up into a kind of tree leg and my arms up overhead, and then descending down and then switching sides. Right knee comes up and down. And if that's a little confusing there, I'm on the mat, simply moving in and out of tree side to side. Good. And just one more to each side. Sometimes it's nice to find these shapes without the balance aspect. Coming through center, speaking of balancing shapes on our back, I'm going to invite you to come into a supine Garudasana, supine eagle. So once again, right thigh crossing over left, like we just did seated. You can perhaps take that double, that second cross of right foot crossing over left ankle, but that's not necessary at all. And then allowing right arm to come underneath and single or double wrap with your arms as well. And let your head be heavy on the mat for a moment. You can even flex your feet as if you were standing on the floor. It's really kind of catching in your mind's eye the shape. Yes, we'll find this again later standing. And just notice how it feels to find this fully supported. And with our next action here, I'll invite you, there's two options. One is that you can kind of glue your forehead and your hands together here, so that if we come up into an eagle bound sit up, you're going to draw elbows and knees together, head will come off of the earth. If that's too much on the back of your neck, you release your hands and support your head. So listening one way or another, exhale as we lift. Inhale down. Good. Two more like that. And then unwind here for a moment, drawing your soles of your feet together, hands behind your head. And before we go into side two, a little clamshell here. Now your head's fully supported if it wasn't before. And we're drawing elbows and knees together. Knees can be wide, soles of feet together. And you get to choose the range of motion. On the inhale pattern, as your legs extend forward, feel what that range can be for you, where you're still feeling that core engagement and support. One more here. Good. And then through center. This time, left leg over right, single or double wrap, doesn't really matter. And left arm under right. And before we go into the core engagement, allowing yourself to feel this shape supported by gravity. So head still gets to rest down. And once again, crossing midline, left, right, left, right, left, right. Here we are, a little eagle-bound EMDR. You don't have to move your eyes always, right? But when we're crossing the midline of the body, we're actually engaging, especially as you sense and feel your body in the shape, you're engaging both hemispheres of your brain. So good for us, right? And sometimes it even creates a little disruption or confusion, and that's okay. So head glues to hands if you're going into this version where we'll lift up, contract, and lower down. And if you want hands behind your head, finding that and allowing that core engagement to come back online here. One more on this side. And then we lower down, unwind legs, unwind feet. Once again, soles of feet together, knees can be wide, hands behind your head, and contracting to midline. And inhale, open. Finding your rhythm, your range of motion. And after this next one, we'll close out this core strengthening sequence with a supine bicycle. And once again, side to side, crossing midline, elbow to opposite knee. Exhale to each side, inhale, center. Beautiful. Coming back through to center, unwind from that movement, and then hands behind your knees. And if it feels good to you, some rocks and rolls on your spine, forward and back. A little self-massage. And eventually rocking up and over your shins and meeting in a tabletop. Arriving in this tabletop, a few moments here of your free flow, integrating the spinal movements, the pranayama, the core awakening, and how does your body guide you to move with all of that? Like you are your favorite animal just waking up from a nap. Like you are molecules in a cloud, expanding and contracting, organic form. And you're welcome to stay with your free movement. Or if you'd like to join me, I'm going to guide you through a little bit of core stability from this shape. So if we think of a cat and a cow, we have the cat shape here where we're arching the spine. We have the cow shape here where we have a kind of a reclaiming of the natural lumbar curve as we lift through the sits bones, lift through your heart, your shoulders, right? So I'm going to invite you to find this cow shape and really sense and feel the subtle stretch across your low belly, yeah, right up in here. And then from here, I'll invite you to take your left leg up. And if any of you did the shorter align your spine flow that I put up last week, you did this with me there, and it'll feel nice and familiar. So we're going to send left heel up towards the ceiling or the sky if you're outside, and just a few pulses here. Waking up through the glute, the back of your left leg, stabilizing muscles of your pelvis. And then we're going to keep that same lumbar curve. We're going to keep the cow shape in the spine, and exhale, knee comes under, and the range of motion is pretty small here. It's not like we're curling the spine. We're staying here. And then again, sending left foot to the ceiling or the sky and under. And again. And you can exhale as it comes under. And then straight back. And a few heel rocks here. And then from there, sending your right foot back so that you come into a knee down variation of a side plank. So allowing yourself to feel that. And then we're going to rotate left hand, bringing left arm up, and let that left arm help bring you up into gate. Drawing both arms up overhead. Exhale, Leaning towards your left leg, you might gaze down, you might gaze up. And from here, listen carefully, we're going to come up through center and we're going to come straight forward. And you might take a moment even to lean back towards your right heel. You can even lift the left foot off of the ground, flexing through your left foot. Just let that little stretch in there feel good. And then coming back forward, now we have left leg out in a bit of a tabletop shape here, different orientation. And then you might lift your left arm up and we're going to find some fern frond here. Exhale, taking your left arm under, and we're going to move with the breath. Inhale, unfurl to the sun. And exhale, diving in. Again, inhale. And exhale. Last one like that. And exhale, lowering your left hand and walking up to center once again, lifting a gentle lean towards your left leg, and then rotating right hand around your wrist, coming down, planting right hand on the mat. You can take your left arm overhead as we did. You might lift your left leg off of the floor, a little balance here. You might even crunch for a moment, knee to elbow, feel that contraction. Inhale. If that felt good, you can do it again. And then this time planting left foot, coming around tabletop. And a few breaths here, just wiggling that out. Now I'm turning myself around only just so that my back is not to you as we come into side two. So whatever you want to do with your orientation on your mat. So for a moment, you might press back into cat, arch your spine, and then find the cow. Lifting heart, lifting sits bones. We're going to hold that here and then sending right leg up and pressing right foot. You can flex through your right foot and a few pulses here. Keeping this action in your spine, exhale, drawing right knee under and inhale, lift. Remember that range of motion might be pretty tight. We're not coming all the way through and under. And just notice the action in the muscles around that bowl of your pelvis once again. And then next time, we're going to send the right leg long. You can pulse if you like on your right toes. And then turning left shin back and right arm can come overhead. Feeling for a moment into your side body stretch here. And then rotating right hand around the wrist, lifting you up and over. You can pause here for a moment at center. And then let's go over into gate. Leaning towards your right leg. You can gaze down, forward, or lifted. And then we'll lift up to center. And then straight forward, let your hands catch you. And then I like to tuck my left toes under. I like to lift my right toes, sending hips back and just wiggling into wherever the sensation calls you. You can come back to Ujjayi. You can even let something go, a sound, a sigh. And then up and forward into this tabletop side leg shape. And then drawing right arm up, we unfurl and lift, inhale, and exhale under. And then softening to the earth, Walk your hands towards your left knee, letting that rise you up to standing. We'll take a brief moment, leaning towards the right. And then left hand rotates, rotates, rotates around the wrist, taking you all the way down. Supported side plank shape. You might lift right foot off the earth, balancing here. You might exhale, knee and elbow. And inhale, reach. And exhale. And then extend and settling back down into your tabletop. Turning towards my front again. Okay. So the next invitation is going to have layers. And some of you have been practicing with me for 4 years. Some of you have been practicing with me more like 14 years. So my local friends, we've known each other a long time. So I like to toss little challenges in. So knowing that there's layers to the practice, choose the layer that's right for you. Layer 1, we're all going to do together, which is to find a puppy dog shape and letting your hips stay lifted and begin to descend your heart down towards the mat. Beautiful, supportive shape, grounding here. I love to lift up to my fingertips and just allowing some space around the shoulders, armpits. Send your breath into sensation here. And the next variation also should be pretty accessible for most of us. So we're going to descend the elbows down, and from here, sending your chest down once again. And I like to kind of wiggle in and out, kind of flossing the shoulders for a moment before descending forehead down, and then maybe bringing palms of hands together in prayer shape and sending your prayer hands to the back of your neck. Good. And that's a lovely place to return to as an option or a variation of our next shape here. So the next shape, and I love to use a block for this, is to then create L shapes for your hands and place those L's around the block. And then just like we had a moment ago, forearms on the mat, curling toes under. This time, the invitation is to lift your hips into dolphin. And you can keep a nice bend in your knees, right? You can really make this yours. You can stay in that puppy dog variation, either one. You can stay here in dolphin. Some of you might choose to lift one leg, finding a one-legged dolphin. Some of you might choose to lift up and balance in a Pinchamayurasana or a upside down little shape here, forearm stand. And remember that in all of these shapes, there is no better, worse, right, wrong, right? You are listening to your body. If you chose the one-legged dolphin, you pause and switch sides so you even yourself out. If you're kicking up, you can explore kicking up on side 2. And whenever you feel complete, we're all going to meet in child's pose. So whether you tried something new and daring, whether you stayed in your sweet spot, greet yourself just as you are. Notice if the mind wants to go into comparison, into judgment, and soften and love yourself right here. Your job is to listen to you.
And these pauses, from whatever variation you chose, the pause down into rest is where we reclaim that nervous system flexibility. We greet a little challenge and we recover. You are welcome to rest here longer. If you're ready to keep moving, we come up through tabletop. And from our tabletop here, I'll invite you to curl your toes under and lift your knees off the mat. So again, a little challenge right here in this shape, sometimes called bear pose. It's our transition to downward facing dog. And with those deeply bent knees, beginning to press back with your hands and finding a long spine. So deeply bent knees, long spine, maybe you then begin to lengthen out through the backs of your legs. You can even lift up onto tippy toes before exploring descending your heels. And I encourage you to rebend, find that lumbar curve, and then explore how it feels to lengthen the legs without sacrificing the length of your spine. And then our transition from here is to send your feet wide out to the edges of your mat, bend your knees deeply, and we'll press back into Malasana, squat. And this squat is an invitation, once again, to greet your hips, to shift a little from side to side. So the journey of embodied spirituality, it kind of calls us to get down low into the hips. That I truly sense that the bowl of the pelvis becomes the ground of support that lets us stretch the bowl of the heart. And when you feel, if you feel comfortable, and again, all of this can be done way up here, right? You don't have to be into this deep, low squat. Honor your knees in this journey too. We're going to transition to standing. You can lengthen through your arms, press into your feet, press into your legs, and we'll come all the way up for a moment. This time we're going to rebend the knees into a halfway mark. So your feet can be, again, wide towards the edges of the mat. This time, toes facing a bit forward here. And in this shape, in this kind of halfway lift, I want to encourage you once again to feel that length of your spine. So if you lengthen out through the lumbar curve and then begin to perhaps lengthen up through your heart, through the thoracic spine, and I'll encourage you to bring your arms forward for a moment. And then as if you're kind of on a rowing machine or you're pulling something back, pull your arms back to bring your heart forward in this very awkward but powerful stance here. Long spine, come back to breath. If you're needing to release some heat, exhale through your mouth. You can even find that again, reach your hands forward and then pull something back, like you've got ropes in your arms and you're pulling your heart forward. And then pressing into your feet once again. Keep the lumbar curve as long as you can. And then once you come up to standing, then descend your tailbone long. Moment, resting your hands by your side. And sense and feel your heartbeat, the signals of your own aliveness coming from your very own body. And from here, an invitation to draw your arms up overhead and exhale to descend. This time with bent knees, crawling yourself forward, coming forward into a high plank and knees to the earth, descending your heart, your chin, a little inchworm shape here. And on an exhale, settling your hips
to the earth as well. So as we prepare for Cobra, I would like to invite a kind of action here, which is as if you were to scoop and try and buckle up your mat by drawing your knees towards your shoulders. So it's going to lift through your sits bones once again. It's going to lift through your buttocks. So we have a quality of that cow pose here close to the earth. So you can curl your toes under as if you're trying to slide your knees up, and then redescend your hips and your tailbone long. You can take a moment lifting one foot, then the other, tops of feet to the mat. And if you'd like, beginning to find Cobra here, pressing as much weight into your hands as feels right for you, as much lift of your heart as supports you today. You can lift and lower if you'd like. And when you're ready, descending here, moving through tabletop, moving into downward facing dog, maybe greeting that same transition with bent knees that we found earlier. And this time, the invitation is to gaze forward and take a nice walk, savoring walk towards the front of your mat. We'll find a similar variation, this time feet closer to hip widths apart, and a similar variation to that halfway lift we found before. So long spine here. You can take your hands to your hips if you'd like. And it's as if you were simultaneously trying to squeeze your legs towards each other and send your heels away from each other. So feeling this kind of dual action in the legs, you can go back and forth between the two. Maybe you send your arms long behind you. Maybe you send your arms long in front of you. And then pressing into your feet, coming up to standing, long spine, descend your tailbone, your arms together. Inhale to sweep, to lift, maybe your gaze lifts, and exhale, forward fold. Inhaling halfway. This time, exhale, planting hands, stepping your feet back. And from that high plank, just as we did before, knees descend, heart and chin, and lowering hips to the earth. This invitation now is to come into a variation of locust, clasping hands by your sacrum, grounding the tops of your feet initially, and then using that connection between your hands to lift your heart. You can keep your feet on the earth, or you might lift your legs off the ground. When you feel complete, releasing, descending, pressing palms, and if you'd like, a brief pause in child's pose. For those of you with lots of energy to spare, you might go right to downward facing dog. It's also a nice time to pause and take a little sip of water or your morning drink. And as with every class, you get to ask yourself, what do I need next? Do I want more? Am I ready for the next little flow? Do I want to go right to Savasana? Do I need to call it for the day? And letting your answer be your guide based on your energy level. If you're wanting to continue, I'll invite you to come through tabletop, curling toes under, lifting knees off the floor.
Pressing back, downward facing dog. And from this downward dog, invitation is to take your right leg back and behind you. Inhale. Exhale, forward and through into a little flowing lunge series here. So you can use blocks if you like. You can come in and out of that lunge. You can keep knee down and set your hips back and forward. You can lift the knee in and out of a variation of pyramid here, lifting heart, curling in. Let this feel good to you. And since we're transitioning next, just briefly into lifted lunge with your left knee down, you might want to place a little cushion under your left knee. It can feel good. It can be a folded towel or a pillow. And then when you're ready, I'll invite you to lift up into this lunge. And to start here, just allowing yourself to explore what happens as you find that flexion of the spine curling in towards your left leg. And then the extension here. And as you extend, you might set your hips just slightly forward, lifting through your heart. And we'll find that again, curling it in. And this time, as we lift up, you might draw your arms up even overhead. And this time, exhale, we curl it in. Check that your back toes are curled under. And then our lengthening here is to lift left knee off the floor, arms behind you. So we're in a kind of lifted knee, crescent lunge, arms back and behind. And then maybe from this shape, we even find the curl forward before lifting up through your spine, through your arms, through your gaze. Inhale here. And exhale, warrior two. And as with all of our shapes here, you can come in and out. Let that be the home base. What's your body needing now? And I'll invite a reach away and a leaning towards your right knee, maybe an extended side angle. Again, greeting your side body. We're just flowing through these. Inhale, reaching away, lengthening through your right leg. And exhale, a brief visit to Trikonasana, to triangle. You can have a little micro bend in your right knee, planting right hand, lifting through your left arm. Gorgeous. You can always use one of your blocks for this, right? Always about support, letting it feel good. And then softening into your right knee. Invitation is to inhale up to 5-pointed star. And exhale into horse. And we'll maybe call this one seahorse for a moment. Just let this be a watery horse. You can shift a little from side to side. Let your arms go into the movement. Let your hips flow with the movement. And then coming to center, I'll invite arms out. Exhaling left under right. Single wrap, self-hug, always welcome, or double wrap here. And then lifting up and out, we're going to turn towards the right foot and lifting left heel up, rebending into your right knee. We're now in that crescent lunge once again, this time airplane arms. Inhale, here's our big transition of class. Lifting the elbows, lifting your heart. Exhale, leaning forward. We've got a balance here. Airplane airplane with eagle arms. So we're lifting left foot off the ground, and you can always keep those toes down. Honor your body. And whether you're doing this in flow or want to meet us in a standing shape, I'll invite you to come up to standing. Maybe you touch your left toes down. Maybe you come all the way up without the touch down. Neither better nor worse. And perhaps you descend left leg over right, eagle. So you can bring back in your mind's eye supported supine eagle that we did earlier on the mat. Feel that your back body is fully supported in this shape. And slowly unwind legs, unwind arms, maybe lifting up onto the balls of your feet for a moment. And then exhale. Samastitihi, a brief pause between sides. Just sensing your heartbeat, your breath, state of mind, emotional tone. We're stretching that bowl. How are you doing? If you're up for it, let's find it on side two. Okay. The inhale will flow from here, sweeping the arms up. Exhale, descending. You can bend your knees as much as you'd like. Inhale, finding a halfway lift, lengthen, feel core and spine support. And then exhale, planting your hands. Your choice. You can press right to downward dog. Some of you might come forward halfway or all the way to the earth, cobra, or upward facing dog. Regardless, we meet in downward dog. Now I'm turning myself around just so my back's not to you today. And so from here, invitation is to lift through your left leg. Exhale to gaze forward, stepping your left foot forward and through. And a few breaths here in your exploratory shape. Maybe you want blocks for this, maybe not. Just coming in and out of your lunge. Right knee can be lifted or lowered. Beautiful, you've got it. And then knowing that we're coming down into a knee down shape, you might cushion your right knee as we lift up into this crescent moon shape. Right knee is down, and we begin by curling forward. Really let yourself curl even in the tailbone. Notice the sensations in your right hip flexor, your lower back, and then lifting up here, finding that range of motion. We're going to curl it in again. This time as we lift, maybe arms come up overhead, maybe gaze lifts. Exhale, we curl in. This time, as we lift right knee off the mat, sending arms back and behind. And then inhale, lifting into crescent lunge. Arms long, breathing into the front of your right hip flexor. Again, you can bend your right knee, honoring your body. And we'll open this up into warrior two. Just as with before, you might find a dancing warrior two, or you might find stillness. We're just passing through these next few postures. Inhale, finding the reach. Exhale into extended side angle. luxuriate for a moment. And then inhale, lengthening through your left leg, reverse Trikonasana. And exhale, your variation. It's a gentle opening. And again, in a very geometric shape, deeply supported. Always love the feeling of this particular one. Gaze can be down, forward, or up. And then softening through your left knee. We inhale, 5-pointed star. And exhale, horse, seahorse. Let it feel good. And inhale, 5-pointed star. Exhale, right arm under left. And we turn the legs, coming back into crescent lunge. So we've been here. Now vision is a little blocked. So really sense and feel proprioceptively your body in space. Okay. You might inhale, lift your shoulders, your elbows. And exhale, our big transition, leaning forward. You can keep right toes on the mat at any point, or you might begin to lift off, take flight. And with or without the touchdown of your right toes, the invitation is to come up into balance and to sit into eagle. Remember that you can find the light variation. You can always kickstand your right toes to the mat. You can use a wall. You can even do this in a chair. And then when you feel complete, unwind, we expand, just like these long summer days, if you're in the northern hemisphere. Okay. And exhale, settle your heels, hands to heart. And pausing for a moment to receive. All right. One more standing shape here, and then we'll be down on the mat and integrating. Last standing shape, we did this on our backs. I modeled it for you standing before. I give you a little hint of where we're going. We're going to play a little bit side to side tree and settling. And it doesn't matter which side you start on, just letting yourself enjoy this little dance. You can even imagine that your arms are moving up into the shape of a chalice or a big wide bowl. Big enough to hold it all, and remembering that it's still being created. It may never be done. Yes, we still engage in this dance we call life. One step at a time. Gorgeous. And when you feel even on both sides, pausing. Perhaps returning to your intention. Once again, I offer up mine,
the journey of uniting Soma and soul. This experience of the embodied spirituality and making your heart a bowl. Let's take this to the earth. Now, I'll guide a flow if you want to come right down to the earth. We're going to meet on our bellies. That's where we're going. Inhale. If you're joining me, sweeping your arms. Exhale to the earth. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale. Planting your hands, stepping back. Knees descend. Heart, chin descends. Lowering to the earth. And if you'd like to pause here for a moment, you can take the feet, your soles of your feet nice and wide and your toes facing out. You can stack one palm over the other and rest your head heavy. This is crocodile, belly down to the earth. So delicious. And then resetting your feet back and behind you, coming into Sphinx and allowing yourself to wiggle, if you'd like, your hips side to side for a moment. And then half floor frog in Sphinx. I'm bending my left knee first. You can choose, either is fine. We're going to take the foot of the extended leg and just give yourself a little rock here as you curl the toes under. And just rocking forward and back. And then uncurling your toes, pressing into left hand. Give a gaze over your left shoulder, left knee to left foot. And you can come in and out of that twist if you'd like. And then from here, resetting Sphinx, left leg back, and right knee bends, curling left toes, a little rock here. This side might have a different story to tell. Get to know it. Get to know which is your tight hip. It's always good to know that, I think. And then uncurl your left toes, planting right hand if you'd like, and a little twist to the right, over right shoulder, towards knee, towards toes. You can wiggle your toes, greet them with your eyes, and in and out of the twist a few times here. And unwinding, right leg back to meet the left. Open your elbows, descend for a moment, and then using your hands to press back up and to draw your legs forward in front of you. So a final stretch before we come into Savasana, I want to invite some seated forward folds. And the first of these will be kind of tree legs. Again, in the legs here, left foot can come to the inside of your right leg. And then beginning to turn your torso towards your right leg and descend. And you can keep a nice deep bend in your right knee if that's serving your body. And you begin to walk forward, and left hand can greet anywhere on the outside. I'll encourage for the twist of your right leg, maybe the outside of your foot. And you can explore keeping a very long spine here, right? So you can really work with that long lumbar curve. You might choose to curl in, but really honor, how does your body let you know what's right for you?
Right, that long spine might be way up here. Totally welcome. And then lifting up here, next variation of our forward fold is to the center, right to the center of your two legs, even though one leg is bent, just feeling that shape for a moment. And then inhale, we're going to twist and turn towards left bent knee. Right hand on the left knee. We did this shape earlier when we were seated cross-legged. We're going to lean right shoulder towards your right knee. Maybe your left arm comes overhead. You can gaze down, forward, or up. Let it feel good. And we're not in that one nearly as long, coming up and out. You might plant your left hand and for a brief moment, lift your hips, lift your heart, your throat, and redescend before switching it out. Right foot inside of your left leg. Long spine. Turning your torso. It's a twist as much as a forward fold over your left leg. And you get to choose long spine or rounding. Either way, the invitation is for the inward turn of your attention. Coming back to your belly breathing. Maybe you're letting go of Ujjayi at this point. We generated enough heat and now we're settling into the sweet softness. Slowly lifting, folding to center. Slowly lifting. Turning towards the right side, grasping right knee, left hand, and loving side bend here. Our last few stretches of the clay. Lifting up, right hand to plant, maybe a lift. And we descend all the way to the earth with an inquiry for yourself today. Are there any final shapes, any final movements that you need? I will encourage to balance out left and right by coming into Bija, drawing both knees into your chest, seed pose, contracting nose to knees, giving everything a tight squeeze. And then releasing, letting go, and softening to the earth. You might choose to scan your body one more time here. You can even fine-tune this shape. If you didn't land just right, let yourself get comfortable here. Reset your legs, your arms, shoulders, back of head, until you feel the support beneath you. Perhaps you surrender to the support that's beneath you, letting any control of your breath go. Letting any action of your body fall into the background. residing here. Let yourself continue to integrate what was a big practice. I'll offer up just the final stanza of Lynn Unger's poem, A Letter in Return. Make your heart a bowl that is large enough to hold it all. Imagine that you are the potter. Stretch the clay. Cherish the turning wheel. Accept that the bowl is never going to be done. And again, because this was a deep and long and thorough practice, I want to encourage you to rest as long as you'd like. For those of you that are ready or are needing to move on with your day, you might wiggle fingers and toes, rotate hands around the wrists, feet around the ankles. You might rock to one side, pausing there. And eventually pressing up to sitting. And in these final moments, closing our practice, perhaps bringing palm to palm in front of your heart. You might return to your intention. You might sense the benefits of this practice and what it's opened or revealed for you. And if you choose to join me, extending the benefits of this practice to all beings. Namaste.